most men are not going to really become any, are not going to become men who would be great husbands or fathers or teachers or anything until you're in your late 20s to early to mid 30s realistically.
Yeah.
I mean, what at 22, the difference between yourself, I'm sure, at 22 versus 32, right? You probably don't look all that different, right? But
Yeah.
in terms of that 10-year difference of real world experience and knowledge and ability to build up some capital and wealth, not even just financially. I'm also talking about knowledge. I'm talking about your body. I'm talking about your skill set, everything that you now have to offer the world, to the point where you can be going on podcasts and you can be going on YouTube and you can be giving advice that is valuable to people, whether they're in their teens, their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, people older than you, people younger than you. I doubt you would have been able to really do that at 22. I know I couldn't have done that at 22.
No.
I couldn't even have done it at 26 or 27. But now
Same.
that I'm in my mid, yeah, but now I'm in my
Same,
mid
bro.
30s, I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's all coming together and you just become a better man.
Absolutely. I think that there's so much more to the development of an individual than just their bank account.
Yes.
I think that going through things, getting hurt, getting dinged, learning from it, there's a lot of value to that. I think that if you've been through enough things, it can also give you kind of a stoic patience
Mm.
that's really necessary. By the way, I think that you have it more than most. And I have to say that it's probably due to going through things in actual real life. Man, I wanted to have a YouTube at 27.
Mm-hmm.
I just had that little voice inside of me that said, "Shut up! You need to get to work." Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Absolutely.
I I've always wanted to like be out there and doing bigger things and kind of creating a name and doing all those things. But I until I was to a certain place, I just didn't feel like I was qualified. And I think that anything for me, it would have been anything short of what my expectations were of myself in order to speak on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I would have felt like I was a liar or disingenuous.
Yes.
And for that reason, I didn't, and I'm actually super proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm like talking through it with you, I'm super proud that I didn't get on the internet and start, you know, maybe portraying something that wasn't real,
Mm.
because it makes it completely easy to get on the internet now and speak truth, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that people do need to go through plenty of things in life, the ups and downs, and able to kind of get a poise about themselves, especially if they're going to lead a family.
Mm.
Because you look at it as, oh, husband, no, leader. If you're going to get married, or if you're going to pick a girl and take care of her and have children, you're now a leader. You're not just a husband. A husband is just a dude that comes home, pops open a beer, watches a game. I feel like you need to be ready to be a leader, because if you're not ready to be a leader, then she's probably going to leave you anyway, and then your kids are going to not respect you. So it's a lot to think about. But I do think that most all the men, if they put that work in, could be in a position to lead a family if
Yeah.
they so
And
choose.
yeah, and I think it goes so much wider than family as well. Family is, of course, the core and the foundational building block of a society, I'd say, but it's also just being able to lead people in general, lead men and women, especially in this age of influence with the internet and with social media, podcasting, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram,
Yep.
all of that stuff. I mean, shout out to the young people who are, whether they're teens or in their early 20s or whatever, who are blowing up and who are doing really well on those platforms. But
Yeah.
when you watch and when you listen to them, you can still tell, like, this is a teenager, this is a guy in his early 20s, right? You might have a lot of followers,
Right.
but you don't really know what you're talking about. You don't have, you've got a level of confidence, but it's not coming from true experience or competence. When I talk to someone like yourself, even if, you know, the first time I met you, right? The first time even meeting you, I was like, you can tell there's a level of confidence and self-assuredness, and one could maybe say stoicism, that you can't fake. It just
Yeah.
comes from having a true level of competence. You're not faking anything. You don't need to You don't need to show off. You're not trying to act up or anyway. It's just like, yeah, I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I know my capabilities. I know what I'm able to do. And therefore, I'm confident. I'm not confident because I read a book teaching me how to be or because I just learned
Yeah.
about body language. It's just like, I am this way because this is really who I am and what I am. And I think that that comes through. There's no overcompensating. There's no playing up. It's just like, no, this is who I am.
Yeah, man, I feel like you have to be that way. Um, because I feel like people can see it. Well, some people can't see it, but anybody that's been around a little while can see it.
Hmm.
And so thank you. And secondly, I couldn't agree with you more. I've met some young guys that have done very, very well for themselves, mostly in crypto,
Hmm.
but you can feel that they're a bit brittle, or that they the bubble that they achieved, or what they achieved, could be popped if things go the wrong way. Um, and so I very much resonate with what you said, because of being in this space, I've met enough people where you can kind of feel it coming off of them, whether it took them a while, or whether they've been through some things, or whether they're really, really solid as an individual. And it's not a diss on them.
No.
In fact, in a lot of ways, I feel bad for the guys that got a really big, either a platform or ran into a bunch of money before it was time,
Hmm.
because I feel like it kind of breaks them in a way. That gets it throws the whole equilibrium of how how they should come up off. And I don't even particularly think it's their fault, because if you'd have told me at 22 I could hit a crypto pump and be worth 10M, I would have took it, bro.
Of course.
I would have
Of course.
absolutely took it, and I would have been in their shoes. And I'm like, okay, well, now what?
Hmm.
Act like a big boss, like, how do I get, like, it's a tough position to be in. um,
It is.
I will tell you that I think I've said this before. I might have said this last week, but I really believe this is the best way to do it for, like, guys in our position when we're in this space. I judge whether I want to be friends with an individual based off of whether I'd be friends with him without his platform.
Mm.
So if I meet somebody and they have 1 million followers on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, cool. But after interacting with them, I ask myself, okay, if they did not have this platform, would you be friends with them back in Louisiana, back home, in real life? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. However, that is how I judge it. And
Mm.
it doesn't mean I have a problem with them if they're 22 and they're super, if I can tell they're humble and they kind of know, you know, then I don't have a huge issue with it. I'm like, hey man, we live in different times. You took advantage of it. Who am I to be upset with you that you hit a crypto pump? I'm not. That's cool. Or hey, you might have grown up with YouTube in junior high and you started a channel and now you're huge. As long as you're a good guy, you know, I don't have a problem with that. You took advantage of what was there. So I would never take that away from the younger guys. But for any individual, I'm always gauging whether I'd be friends with them if they did not have said platform. I think that's, for me, it's been the healthiest way to identify, who I'll talk with, outside of the camera or the YouTube.